Hello, and welcome back to the High Vibe Honey podcast, a space where power meets peace, frequency meets finesse, and next level doesn't require you to hustle harder, just calibrate deeper. I'm your host, Katie Rogers, soul-led leadership and legacy coach for high-performing, heart-led women who are done performing their power and are ready to embody it. Here, we don't chase alignment, we become it. We decode identity, emotional capacity, somatic leadership, and the subtle energetics that make you magnetic. If you're a visionary woman who knows success is inevitable, but you're ready for it to feel better in your body, clean it in your business, and more rooted in who you really are, you are in the right space. This isn't surface level strategy. This is frequency first evolution. So let's get into it. Today, I am joined by the radiant Nicola Navon, relationship, communication, and leadership coach, and the host of the Divine Union podcast. Nicola is a master of helping people unlock deep, nourishing connection, both within themselves and in their relationships. Her work bridges the gap between self-mastery and thriving relationships, guiding couples and individuals into deeper connection, expression, and playful, passionate relationships across leadership, love, and life. With experience in both relationship coaching and business leadership, she knows that leadership is not compartmentalized. How you lead in relationship impacts how you lead at work and vice versa. And her signature framework, the Union Method, is rooted in three core disciplines: communication, polarity energetics, and balance principles. With a decade of experience in communication and human behavior, Nicola creates environments that foster deep connection, fulfillment, and success, both in relationship and in business. I know this conversation is just going to touch your heart and recalibrate your soul. So let's get into it. So, Nicola, I am so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us on the High Vibe Honey podcast. Could you give a few words to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your story and how you got into this work?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, Katie, for having me here. I'm so thrilled to be here. And hello to all of you beautiful people listening today. I'm Nicola Navon, and I'm a relationship communication and leadership coach. And so I help you build relationships that are filled with passion and aliveness and depth because we all desire that in our relationships, and that is entirely possible. And in my work, as you know, we'll discuss as we go into masculine feminine dynamics, my work leverages three areas: communication, so working with our voice,
Mm,
verbal, nonverbal, and energetic; polarity, understanding these dynamics of polarity, of push and pull, what creates magnetic attraction in any relationship, whether it's with our friendships, in romance, in our work, in our business relationships with prospective clients, as well as principles of balance, balancing with our masculine and feminine energies, so our more active and passive energies. And
mm,
I got into this work, Katie, because I think about who I used to be in relationship, who I used to be in business. And I had this one relationship that was the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will, that
yeah.
sparked this whole self-development journey for me. And I realized coming out of this relationship, it was a unhealthy relationship in many ways. And I realized I was deeply minimizing my desires. I wasn't expressing my needs, my desires, my boundaries in the relationship. I wasn't expressing what it is that I wanted from the relationship and actually leading the direction of the intimacy. And so I would expect my partner to lead the direction of the relationship for me. And I wasn't
Mm,
bringing my full self to the table there. So I always wanted this deep level of intimacy, yet I couldn't actually cultivate it.
yeah.
And that started with my relationship to self.
Mm,
And so it's been this journey for me of rewiring, first coming into a deep sense of groundedness and knowing of who I am and what I'm about and the value I bring to relationship, because a lot of this work is also around empowerment when
yeah.
it comes to our relationships, and also working to balance my masculine and feminine energies, because I used to be heavier in the feminine in this unhealthy way of this people pleasing and
Mm,
minimizing my needs for the sake of the connection, and so much fear around abandonment or rejection. And then I would toggle between that and this unhealthy, I'm going to now bottle up and explode and demand my needs be met. And I got my firm boundaries and this isn't okay. And so I didn't actually feel good in how I
Yeah.
expressed, and it wasn't successful.
Yeah. It's so powerful. And hearing you speak of this as well, just it really is resonating with my story as well, and the relationship that sparked my whole personal development journey and my whole, the work that I do now. So it's sometimes we can look at those points in our lives as traumatic, and when we get to see the post-traumatic glow up and ascension that we get on the other side of it, it truly is such a gift. I mean, that experience in my life was the biggest catalyst for the most amazing things that shifted in my world. And yes, you are reminding me of a version of myself who I have so much love and compassion for, and who she was just doing the best she knew how to do at the time. And I think there are going to be so many listeners here who are nodding along, like, oh, yeah, I've been her. I know her. Yeah, this is familiar. So, yeah, I'm just so excited to share more in this conversation.
Same here. And I love that invitation, Katie, for everyone listening too, because what you're also illuminating is the learnings and the mirrors in every experience that we have, and how do we
Yeah.
use that as an opportunity to come back to self. So
Hmm.
for me, it shows, where am I shrinking? Where am I minimizing? Where am I afraid? Where am I operating from lack? And where is that an opportunity to come back and strengthen my own self love, my own
Yeah.
sense of value, even in whether it be in work as well, because I would do those same patterns. This is why
Yeah.
I always say leadership isn't compartmentalized, because how we show up in one domain often mirrors the other. So where was I
Completely.
shrinking in the workplace? Right? Taking on tasks that I couldn't fully do in the time that maybe was agreed upon or that was dictated, not expressing my own needs, not
Mm,
standing up for myself, speaking for myself for fear of losing the job, losing that connection with my manager. And instead, how do we communicate in ways that allow us to be seen and see another and find a path forward, bridging connection to find a path forward.
so beautifully put. And
Mm.
I think this is the thing, a lot of people, they might access the work and they think they're hiring somebody for relationship, or they think they're hiring somebody for business. And then it's once we get to the root of whatever the experience is, and life will be coaching you to show you what that experience is. It's almost giving you the raw materials for that roadmap for your own growth. And it's, you work in one space, get back to the root there, and you see that expansion everywhere. Oh, yeah, this is showing up at my workplace as well. Oh, yeah, okay, I recognize that behavior. And so, yeah, this is what I just love about this ripple effect and the power of this work on a 360
Yeah.
basis, which is just wonderful. So you
Yes.
meant, yeah, you mentioned a little bit about this, about these moments that kind of created this sense of aliveness. Could you share more about like some of those key moments or wake up calls on your journey from this sense of people pleasing into the sovereignty that you hold today?
Yeah, it's such a good question. You know, I say they, and I'm like, I don't even know where that comes from, but I've read this that, when you're 7, you start to get visions at a really young age. You start to get vision of what's your dharma, the things that you imagine, the things that you're passionate about. And when I was a kid, I used to always picture these two people merging together in the solar system, this deep state of intimacy, this oneness. And, you know, for me, what feels so good is the sense of resonance in
Mm,
all of my relationships. I don't want someone to fix me, to change me, to make me whole. And this is where the sovereignty piece comes in, because dependency in any relationship
mm.
is unsexy. It desexualizes the other person. It creates a hierarchical dynamic of parent, child, coach, student, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And and being conscious of ways that we are sourcing our self-worth externally. So one of those things, patterns for me, it used to be, and this stems from my own childhood and my own healing journey with my father, the first masculine figure in my life, and looking at how I was projecting onto the masculine to hold space for me, to when I didn't hold space for myself, to
Mm,
value me as their queen when I didn't value myself. And so that showed it's unsexy. It creates this dynamic, right? The standard that we hold is what actually creates the standard in our relationships.
mhm,
And so noticing that and noticing where I was afraid of loss of the connection, because the thing is, many people fear conflict. I used to fear conflict because we fear that conflict is going to upset the harmony. And so instead, we don't want to voice, ooh, that doesn't feel good when you do that, partner. Oh, when we're out at a party, I actually don't like that we go out our separate ways for the entire night. I desire us to reconnect and also to
mhm.
connect with other people, with each other. I desire you to make eye contact with me every so often because that feels good. I feel part of the conversation. And
Yeah.
this is our sovereignty. It's naming our sense of independent desire and
Hmm.
thought and co-creating a beautiful relationship instead of expecting one party to lead based on the lines of gender
Hmm.
or anything really. And it's like we both have agency. We all have agency to co-create. And so it's coming back to that space and also taking time to be with self, to reflect, because we need that time to say, this didn't quite land for me. Or, oh, I've been
Hmm.
reflecting on this moment and this is what's alive for me.
Yeah.
And giving spaciousness to express that.
Mm. I really love how you gave just such a gorgeous example of that, of what this communication actually sounds like, how that would actually feel to share something like that. Because I know, earlier on in my journey, and certainly for a lot of my clients, they're like, what would that actually sound like if I said something? Would it be mean if I said that? But the way that you share that is so loving and so expansive that you get to see, like, yeah, this is how it could be done. And I think as you share that, as you go through this journey, there's layers to this as well. And there are different levels of noticing of like, oh, okay, you see it from a different angle with a new level of awareness, and you're like, what do I want to do with this? And I had something in my life the other day I'll share with you. In that my housemate was making me breakfast. Like, do you want strawberries and almond butter on toast? My favorite breakfast, right? And I'm like, yeah, I would love that. So he's like, okay, starts making it for me. And you know what I did? I was like, okay, well, if he's making my breakfast, I should probably start making his breakfast, right? Or trying to help him. And then I saw it and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, just receive, Katie. Just allow yourself to graciously and lovingly receive. Stop trying to balance it. Stop trying to return the favor. Like, sit your butt down and be a queen and let him treat you like a queen. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay. And it was amazing to actually see that and not just fall into the pattern of that. So I think having that spacious, because sometimes when you're so in it, you don't see. And so being able to create that space to be like, huh, why am I doing that? What does this actually mean for me as well? And is this
Yeah.
the direction I want to drive in? Maybe not.
This Mhm. And this is such good awareness. And you're actually getting into also, Katie, a little bit of polarity, which is
Mhm.
understanding, right? When he's in the masculine and he's offering to make you breakfast, he's inviting you in the feminine. And you did
Yes.
that so beautifully. You stay in the feminine. I'm going to receive.
Yeah.
And this is why I love this idea of balance of our energies. And we can get into it more, but it's then being able to maybe at another time, if you ever want to initiate something and do something that then invites him into the feminine to receive. And it's this
Mm.
dance in relationship. Doesn't have to be in the exact moment because it's nice to have this polarity of someone being in the masculine role, the active role, someone being in the passive, and it creates this beautiful dance, even in conversation.
Yeah.
So conversation, if I'm the one imparting, sharing, I'm imparting wisdom, expressing. I'm in the masculine. The one
Mm.
asking questions is in the feminine. The best conversations, I'm sure you resonate, is like, I want to be sharing and I want to be curious and learn more about you. And it's
Yeah.
this dance. And when it's always just someone expressing and one person asking questions, then it becomes a teacher-student vibe. It doesn't have that
Yeah.
balance of the energetics.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also wanted to speak on, I loved what you said that it builds in this journey because this is why for me, I find it so valuable to work in these three domains of the balance, of the communication and the polarity. Because for me, when I didn't work to integrate my healthy masculine and healthy feminine, and I don't have balance, my communication doesn't come off as easeful. So for example, to make it tangible, let's say in relationship, uh, maybe I'm in a relationship, maybe I'm dating, maybe I'm trying to do something sexy and sweet. Maybe I trying to feed the person like a bite of cake. Yeah. And I do it and maybe they respond, they're like, what are you, my mother? Like they say something that totally
Yeah.
desexualizes the moment, ruins the moment,
Kills the vibe. Yeah.
kills the vibe. Yeah. Now I could, if I can get wounded by it. Ooh, I'm
Yeah.
wounded. Like, oh, that wasn't good, or that wasn't nice. I was trying to do something sweet. Maybe I close, maybe I shut down, maybe I withhold love. Now I need my healthy masculine core. Think of it like our roots of a tree, that groundedness in who we are, what we're about. I need that to hold me during that.
Hmm.
So then I can play, then my feminine can play, not from demanding, but or shutting down, but silliness, playfulness. Ooh, oh, well, I was trying to do something sweet for my man. Is that really what you want to do right now? Yeah, you want to ruin this moment? Is that where you want to go? And it's allowing us to just to play with it and to shift that energy, but we need that balance of our being to
Yeah.
be able to then work on the communication. That's why it builds. Then work on the communication to bring more ease to it, so it's not manufactured because
Hmm.
we're actually grounded within and confident within, and nothing takes us off center. And I'll just share one more little story, personal one, and then I
Yeah,
pause
please.
is, you know, I had a lover in Mazante when I was living in Mexico 2 years ago. And I had in the middle of the night, it was like 3 a.m. and I wanted to make love. I was feeling the feels for connection. And so I just started, moving my hands across his thigh. And in the middle of the night, he's just like turns around. He's like, I'm tired. I'm not in the mood. He didn't even say that. He like grunted and turned around.
Yeah.
And so that hurt, right? Rejection always hurts us. Yet I can't let that impact, like, I don't want to be sour in the morning. I don't want to let that impact my sense of self-worth, how I identify as a feminine being, as a sexual being, as a sensual being, which we always associate rejection with these things. And instead, it's like,
Mm.
this just is. He's not in the mood and it's okay. But you know what? That's not going to stop me from doing it again. I need my masculine to do that, by the way. It's not going
Yeah.
to stop me from doing it again because when it works and it's fun and it brings mystery and spiciness into the relationship. And so our energetics empower us to do brave things, whether it be in business or whether it be in relationship.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's almost like that threshold that you have for rejection as well, expanding your capacity to initiate, expanding your capacity to have rejection allows you to make those bold moves, to be more playful, to be more brave. So yeah, I love how you share that. It was so wonderful. And these stories are just so juicy as well. So yeah, let's keep them coming. But I thought it might be useful as well for some people. They're brand new into this world. Can we go back to the basics about what are the masculine and feminine energies and how do you see those showing up?
Yeah, such a good question. Thank you for grounding us, Katie. She's doing it. She's grounding us in. So think about the masculine as it's your groundedness. It's knowing who you are, what you're about, your values. So your values is your anchor, always in relationship, in life, in business. It's even the core values of your business, and that you come back to that anchor all of the time. Am I operating around this? When you're confused, what direction to go? What's the right move in business? What's the right move in relationship? Coming back to your values. How do I feel about this person? Coming back to your values. That's your masculine. It's also anything that's active, these active roles. So it's I'm going to do out in the world. I am going to create. I am putting out social media content. I am expressing my needs and desires in partnership. I'm expressing my boundaries. This is masculine energy.
Hmm.
When I say it's also your groundedness, it's your structure. And I know I'm mixing business and relationship. So
Yeah, we love
how
that
is it?
here. Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. I love to blend. Yeah, it's that structure as well. So in business, that's your systems. That's your marketing funnels. That's your processes for onboarding new clients. That's you time blocking your day. It's creating structure in your day as well, that routine. So then your feminine can play, because in business, without the structure, then we're just blowing in the wind and we're going this
Hmm.
direction and this direction. And is no guidelines and goals to operate towards. And the
Hmm.
goals with structure is I want to have structure. So I want to have goals. I want to take aligned action. Yet when we're balanced in the feminine, and I'll go into the feminine, I'm going to not attach to the outcome of how it unfolds. So that's
Yeah.
that element of surrender.
Hmm.
I take aligned action. I'm doing the things. This is what I desire, universe. This is what I desire, partner. But I'm not going to try to control you, partner. I'm not going to shame you, to blame you, to manipulate you, because I know I can't control you. All I can do is express from an empowered place what it is I desire. And I invite you to rise to meet me. And if you don't, it shows me, or life shows me. And letting a relationship unfold in time instead of trying to make it be something quickly.
Yeah.
Same thing with our path, our dharma. If you're listening and you're a coach, or maybe you're working at an organization and you have a vision of what you desire, that end goal that you see in your mind, knowing if that vision is in your mind, God, source, higher power, that they planted that there for a reason. That's going to
Hmm.
unfold, and not attaching to how it happens. And when we can be in also the state of flow in the feminine, our state of flow, our state of surrender,
Hmm.
then we open up to the synchronicities that come, the mystery of life. We play with life. Oh, I'm trying this in business and this isn't working, or it's not working as desired. Let me try and do this over here and then see what happens. Oh, partner, I'm going to try using a little bit of humor with you and see how it lands. Ooh, okay, this is landing. This is landing, but this didn't. Okay, great. Let me refine my communication here and play with it. And let me explore as we're relating with ourselves, with each other, with the universe, using that sense of the feminine energy, the flow in tandem. And it's also receiving, right? It's our ability to receive is the feminine. Our
Hmm.
emotions are feminine, energy and motion, anything that's in flow. So allowing us to feel our feels, move through our feels, and then keep going.
Yeah.
And then I'll also say it's the yin and the yang. So in order to do in the world, I need to go into my feminine first. I need to go in. I need to reflect. I need to think about what's working in business, what's not, what do I
Yeah.
want to refine, what's something I want to birth. And then I need my masculine to take it out into the world. And
Hmm.
same in relationship. I need to go in and reflect. How do I feel about this situation? What do
Hmm.
I want in this moment? Instead of just going, if you're in a relationship, we often go into this codependence. I'm going to share with you about a challenge I'm dealing with where I'm not taking time to think about it first.
Yeah.
How I want to navigate it, what feels true. And that's important to go back into the sovereignty so we don't go into codependence. And then I ask, what are your thoughts on that? And then I flow, I listen, I receive, I see where I want to go. I take what resonates, what doesn't. But if we don't, we go in to then go out.
Mm. Oh, this is so beautifully put. And yeah, just such a great reminder of when we can be so imbalanced in one way of doing things. And the way that I was certainly brought up, the approach. So the masculine has come very naturally to me. The feminine is something I've been like expanding and developing into certainly over the last couple of years. And it's so interesting how you're saying about this idea of in first and then out, feminine first and then masculine. Whereas I was always just like work, do, like the idea and even hearing about your 7-year-old experience of having this imagery. And I'm thinking, wow, like I have goosebumps. This is so beautiful. And realizing that in my childhood, it never really was that. It was, here's the test, take the test, learn the thing. And I was very good at like learning and regurgitating and passing exams, but I wasn't very good at feeling. And that was something I only really developed, even giving myself the capacity to play and to have an imagination. It was something that was created in adulthood. But when we go through childhood and then that becomes our normal, we don't necessarily see how out of balance we are with something like that until, things get really real. I had my post-traumatic growth moment that really highlighted to me again so many of the ways that things weren't working out for me. So to hear it from your perspective and how these things show up, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. And
Yeah. I
yeah, thank you so
I love
much.
also, oh, my pleasure. And I love what you're speaking to, Katie, as well, because it resonates. We're all conditioned, myself included, with the
Mm,
masculine, and this idea of doing is what we do. We don't be. It's our value is based on how much money we have, what we produce.
mm,
It's also fueled by this capitalistic society and individualistic society.
yeah.
And it's even a process for me of, because when I used to work in New York in tech. I used to live in New York and work in tech and sales, and I worked so hard in my life there up until my like mid 30s,
Mm,
early 30s. And I'm 39. Yeah. So up until like 33, let's say. And then I quit my job in tech and I decided to start my own business. And in that process, I went heavy into the feminine because I was learning. I got my Tantra certification. I got certifications in somatics and embodiment and communication. So I was learning,
mm,
soaking up, doing my tantric practices as well every day. And 2 hours a day, that's a meditation in itself. Yeah. And
beautiful.
it was just such a powerful time of my life. But I was so heavy in the feminine. And then as I started to build my business a few years ago, I go heavy in the masculine now as I'm creating and producing. And so it's also been this journey for me of balance of how do I
Mm,
do and create and do the social media content and nurture my email list, right? And reach out and nurture our brand awareness and do partnerships and collaborations and in-person work, right? All this stuff is doing. And
yeah.
how do I also balance that with I'm going to come back to my pleasure practice. I'm going to do my yoga. I'm going to do
Mm,
my meditation. I'm going to allow myself the spaciousness to take the day and just reflect on business and see where I need to refine.
yeah.
And tell me how this lands for you. But I had this insight that what drives, I feel, a lot of this doing and producing is comes from fear of lack of time.
Hmm.
Time. I don't have the time and money that drive, I feel, humanity, but I don't have the
Yeah.
time. Time is money. I don't have the time to sit and to reflect and to do my yoga. I got to get going. I got to start. I got to make money. I got to produce. And that blocks us from actually being in the state of being and receiving and feeling pleasure connecting with people. We almost feel guilty doing it.
Yeah, I can completely resonate with this one and moving into my business as well. And it's almost like, yes, I was learning the embodiment, the somatics, the emotional mastery. But when it came to actually operating my business, I was so in my conditioning still around the masculine energetics. And as you say, I was launching out of fear, the sense of urgency, the sense of scarcity. And I'm like, why isn't this working? I've done all the things. I got the emails right. The funnel is sick. Like, what is going on with this thing? And then really learning actually, oh, the slower I move, the faster I receive. The slower I move, the more I create this landing pad where these downloads can actually come in and I can get them and I get to move with this passion, excitement, and bring that pleasure and play back into my business. And it's almost like what a gift that you get to experience that when it lands and when you learn it. And even sometimes our conditioning, like the thing that we've practiced so much in our moments of fear, that it's easiest to just go back to that. But when you can be more grounded and more nourished and realize actually this other way, this works way better for us. And then you get to have that conscious choice around it as I lock in this new level of conditioning and awareness. So yeah, I'm loving the journey of this right now.
Yes, I love that. That resonates so much, Katie. And it's giving the spaciousness for the downloads to come, for the
Mm,
insights to come, even in conflict and relationship, giving space to pause. Let
mm,
there be a little bit of tension. Let there be a little bit of awkward tension. Figure out what you want to say next, how you want to navigate something, how you want your tone to sound, how you
mm,
want to come across, how you stand, like bringing this element of consciousness to our relating. And on a polarity, well, mm, it'll take it in a little bit of a different direction, but I'll just say from a
yeah.
polarity standpoint, too, that pause, that spaciousness is there's so much the silence. So Richard Rudd from the Gene Keys, he inspired
Hmm.
this one idea from me where he talks about it's fascinating, but he says the silence is impregnated with life. And he said humanity creates this sense of digital silence, which feels like when someone doesn't respond to a text, it feels like you're being in this complete void of silence.
Hmm.
But that's actually not true because silence is filled with life. It's filled with mystery. It's filled with excitement. And in relationship, if we're relating with someone, a friend, a lover, a client, even just by taking a pause as there's a transition in the moment and looking at each other, right? That makes way for maybe a sexy glance or a beautiful moment. And it invites in that silence because you're connected as you're connected to the other by being connected to self. And we
Hmm.
often view that as disconnection if we're not engaging. But how do we sit with that and hold that tension? And that then invites the other person to lean in. And it's the same thing even with polarity dynamics in business. So, for example, I've gotten many folks in my DMs who just like, hey, are you looking for this? And I have this thing and I wanted to invite you to this offering because I think you might resonate. And maybe it felt it felt pushy. It didn't feel resonant. Um, they weren't engaging me at all prior.
Yeah.
And so instead, to build a polarity, it's like, how do I maybe drop one little thing, let it land? Ooh, I'm really, something that's genuine. Maybe you really dig
Yeah.
someone's content and you want to comment on it. Maybe you really like the way someone shared about something and it
Mm.
resonates for you. Opening up a conversation and allowing one thing, I'm going to allow them to respond. Another comment, I'm going to allow them to respond. Maybe a client goes dark on you. Yeah. Or maybe someone doesn't respond to your text. Then it's like, how do I illuminate that dynamic with a little bit of lightness, a little bit of play in a way that brings passion and excitement into the dynamic where I'm not like, oh, I didn't hear back from you. Or I
Yeah.
just don't say anything and then I wait for them to lead. And that just doesn't feel good either. So instead, it's kind of like, okay, what does that bring up in your mind? For me, it's this energy of cat and mouse. If I'm going to text someone and they're not going to respond, we're playing cat and mouse. If I'm going to text someone in the DMs or someone who's interested in my work, they inquire, but then they don't respond to my response. It's cat and mouse. So then how do we illuminate it? Oh, see, you like a little game of cat and mouse, huh? Game on. Pause. Don't say anything, right? And this illuminates, hey, you haven't responded, but you're not saying, hey, you haven't responded. You're doing it in a
Yeah.
fun, playful way where you
Yeah.
feel good, you feel empowered, and you're still speaking to the dynamic. So that's empowering because I'm expressing myself, but I'm doing it in a fun way that keeps the energy of whatever relationship dynamic we're co-creating here.
Yeah. I love that. I would love to have a peek inside of your DMs as well. I bet there's so much fun.
I love to
Yeah.
play.
No, this is so great. And I love how you explained like how we can sort of start to understand and experience these masculine and feminine dynamics and also the polarity of it. So I'm curious to know what some practical ways. Actually, like, how do you see when women who are either business owners or even in relationship, the common signs of imbalance there, and some practical ways that we can cultivate more of that feminine magnetism without, I think the thing I see a lot in my clients or people who are new to this work, they think that that's going to lose their edge or ambition or lose a success. It's like, how do we really create that and explain that in a practical, powerful way?
I love this so much. That's a great question, Katie. And I understand that fear of, oh, if I go into my feminine, if I go into my sense of surrender, I don't want to lose my power woman, my that
Yeah.
edge of that fuego, that passion that fuels me in business. And so I want to invite a shift. When we go, leadership leads to receivership. The
Hmm.
goal is, how do I lead in a way, and I'm going to speak to relationship first to keep it this example clear. How do I lead in a way that invites me to then receive?
Mm,
So if I want partner to plan a date, and maybe I'm always the one doing the planning,
yeah.
how do I invite them? It's like, hey, I know you got some amazing ideas in that mind of yours. Why don't you plan Saturday night? Now I'm using my leadership. It's subtle, but that's then now inviting me to receive. You plan Saturday night. You tell me where to be and I'll be there.
Yeah.
We're teaching people how we want to relate with them. And I will come back
Mm,
to your question. I'm getting there, but
yeah.
it's using this element of, I'm going to lead so then I can receive. It's not completely giving up our leadership and just surrendering, but it's knowing how to subtly guide and subtly influence. That's why I also love the communication. How do we subtly influence the
Yeah.
dynamics in the way that we desire that set us up so we can receive, even in the bedroom? Most of my partners, I have like more feminine beings. Now I say feminine beings, they're men, identify as men, but more in their feminine, meaning they're connected to their hearts. They're
Mm,
open. I like that kind of energy. They're the consciousness.
yeah.
Yet with that kind of energy, they're probably not going to be as likely to be the one that's going to ravish me in bed. So if I want that, because this comes up a lot in my sessions,
Yeah.
how do I incite their hunger, their ravishment? I need to go into my dark feminine, AKA, which is also masculine energy. And I need to practice the art of seduction. How do I seduce that out of them? How do I fan their flames? So maybe it's a subtle, oh, hey, babe, a subtle touch on the shoulder, right? A little kiss.
Mm,
Ooh, I have tonight we're not doing dinner, we're doing dessert. And you're going to eat blindfold. Oh no, we're not watching TV tonight. I have another plan for us. It's finding these subtle ways to incite then the masculine to rise in the way that we desire them to and into whatever role we desire in that moment. And it's through our leadership that we're doing that. So we're here playing with our balance of our energetics. Same thing in business. It's this balance of, how do we, if we're leading a team, how do we say the plan of what we want, speak the vision of what's going to unfold? Maybe it's a certain project that
mm,
the team is working on, yet being open and curious to the team's thoughts, bringing them on board so they're emotionally invested. And this is learning the art of people. How do we motivate people? Because we don't win by being a dictatorship. Yeah, we succeed by getting people on board. People don't rally behind a person, they rally behind a movement. So how do we inspire our team with our clients? How do we have a container, create this container of safety of who's in charge? I'm guiding the space, I'm leading the space. If there's a set time for our session, I am monitoring the time. And when
hmm.
we go over, I also let you know, because that's my job as the
Yeah.
masculine to hold that space. Otherwise, there's no safety in the container. Yet, how do I also stay in my feminine as a leader so that I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm guiding and coaching you to come up with your own insights and to have your own sense of empowerment. So
Hmm.
it's shifting the scales. It doesn't mean I don't coach and we don't guide and give our insight, because that's part of the work, why people work work with us. But it's both. It's also creating those, doing those, asking those questions and creating those space for those transformations so that
Mm.
everyone rises with us, because those kinds of relationships in business and in romance feel good when we're with people who are empowered. And then
Mm.
another thing that comes that I'll say is, in relationship, oftentimes what I see in my work and I work on with my clients is this dynamic of control. We
Mm.
want to control our partners. We want to control the direction of the relationship. We want to have certainty. And that energy is what creates oftentimes this like mothering or fathering dynamic or coaching dynamic where we feel
Yeah.
like we're coaching our partners, as opposed to, babe, when we're out in public and yeah, we were out in public last week and you made a comment about me to your friend at my expense and you kind of mocked my tone of voice to your friend. That didn't feel good. That hurt. And I don't appreciate that. And I appreciate when we go out together that we speak highly of each other, because that's the kind of relationship that feels good. And think we feel more connected to each other as a result. And so this is me. I'm leading, I'm expressing, I'm asking for what I want, but I'm doing it in a soft and a sensitive way, in an open hearted way. And that's the feminine balance.
Mm.
And then we don't have to go into coach. Then we wait and we invite them to rise. It's invitational. Or,
Yeah.
and I give one last example here to, I'm really trying to make it tangible. It's
Oh,
this
I'm
art of,
loving these. Yeah.
yes, it's the art of invitation. How am I inviting you into my world? If I am in relationship and I want us to take a vacation partner and you haven't taken time to have some moments one on one, maybe you have a family and kids, then it's not like, let's do this. I really want to do a vacation. Maybe you're nagging them for a vacation. We don't want to go into nag. That doesn't feel good for our energy.
No.
What feels good for the energy? Let's keep it playful. Maybe it's like, I had a dream the other day. We're sitting on the beach, we're sipping our mango margaritas under the sun, listening to our favorite Bob Marley songs. Pause. What? What are you talking about? Oh, that vacation that we are planning that's in the works for this year. Like finding ways to invite people into our desires in
Yeah.
fun and playful ways that allow us to stay into our inner feminine, yet we're not minimizing. This is leadership here in relationship.
Mm. Absolutely. It's that like less strategy, more seduction kind of methodology to lean into. And it's so easy to be in, and I have been in the dynamics where, you want them to buy you flowers and you're like, well, it'd be really nice if there were some flowers in here or something. And it's like, that's not sexy. That doesn't position you as the woman to be bought flowers for. That positions you as the nagging. And yeah, no, that doesn't create the dynamic that you want. And yet sometimes it's so innocent, we don't see how ineffective our strategy is around that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love the examples that you shared and how that really could lean into approaching that from more of that seductive, more feminine magnetism. So yeah, thank you so much for those beautiful examples.
And I want to just comment on the flowers example just to make it tangible, because I think that's a great example. So
Mm.
if that comes, if you're listening and you're like, yes, this is me right now, I see myself here. Here's what you could do. One thing is, first buy yourself flowers. So
Yes.
so you're not doing it so he sees it, but you're doing it for you.
Hmm.
And because it's a both, he's going to see it. And then he sees you engaging with your flowers, smelling your flowers, loving your flowers. Your partner learns based on how you be. So if you're always smelling flowers, you love flowers, you talk about what you love, not as I'm going to play a game and try to put that in your mind, but being you and not hiding it and buying them for
Yeah.
yourself or even buying them for your partner. They smell good. I wanted to get these for you because I love flowers so much. That's
Yeah.
subtle, but it's like you're giving from overflow, not giving to get. We don't want to give to get, but that's
Yeah.
something that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, so wonderful and so powerful. And yeah, I think leaning into more of that feminine magnetism. And a part of that has been like, how do I just romanticize my life a little bit more? How can I be the woman who shows up in relationship that I want to be in? And I've been in the relationships of like the, mother-son dynamic accidentally, or the coach-client dynamic accidentally. And yeah, many of us listening will have been here. And now those dynamics just give me the ick so hard. It's almost like, oh, that triggers my avoidance, lean out. So it's still finding the safety around that, as you say, like you go from one end to the other, and adapting how playful you can be. And something else I wanted to draw, and I noticed you share a lot about the head and the heart, which I think is just such a beautiful way to ground in this work. And they say the journey from the head to the heart is the longest journey you will take in your life. And for me, it has been so true. And we can create a lot of safety, like illusion of staying in the mind. And so often we think this is the space we need to be in. And actually, we learn so much, we feel so much, we create so much when we are willing to be in our heart and to drop in and to slow down and to feel. And so I just love how this feels like a really grounded point of an anchor of your work.
Yes, it is such a journey. And you know what comes for me? It's like it's presence. Because
Mhm.
that drops this me into my own heart when I notice I'm very in the mind. I'm in Aquarius. I'm all up here. I'm in the ethereal realms. It's a process for me to ground down and connect with earth. That's part of my work in this world. So, in my
Yeah.
life, my own karma. So, I understand that. It's like the more that I can force myself at times to be in presence,
Hmm.
the more I'm connected to the heart and not the mind.
Hmm. Yeah, what a great reminder. So you talk about communication, of polarity, of the balance, and I know your podcast is Divine Union as well. So I wanted to know, what does Divine Union really mean to you?
This. You know what? I love this question because I always ask people this, and no one's asked me that. I ask people that on my podcast. So, yes, I love this. Thank you for asking. So, okay, Katie, let's feel. For me, divine union is oneness with everything and all that is.
Mm,
It is coming into first inner union and wholeness with self. I am integrated of my own masculine and feminine. I see the masculine in me. I see myself in the masculine. Like
mhm,
I see the mirrors in every single person here, where I embody traits that are avoidant, that annoy me, where I embody traits that are manipulative that I have within me, right? The wounded and
mhm,
divine iterations, which I know we didn't go into wounded here in this episode, but the wounded elements of where do I manipulate? Where do I bully? Where do I dominate? Where do I control? And owning these parts and seeing parts of them in us so that we judge others less because we see the mirror.
mhm,
And so for me, this union is the sense of oneness with everyone and everything, and also with nature included. I see nature within me. I see the universal energy of divinity within me. I don't pollute nature because I know it all comes back. So I don't trash Mother Earth. I respect our planet. I respect other people on our planet. Everyone from the janitor to the doorman to, the queen, like whoever it is. I'm
yeah.
I'm giving people with respect and dignity and humility because we're all put on this planet and we all make this planet run and we're all a part of the divine order of things. Everyone has a unique purpose in this unique symphony of life. And it's acknowledging that and seeing the role that we all play in that. And lastly, it's also for me about understanding not everyone believes in this, but I believe that there's a universal energy, God source, higher power, however you want to identify it as. There's a universal energy that also connects us all. that
Mm,
is the guiding force of life. And we are just part of it with all
yeah.
the other human beings on this planet. And that removes that sense of ego, that sense of separation, that sense of I, and some of the heaviness of life where we feel like everything's on our shoulders. And
Mhm.
instead, we see that we are a part of the whole, the collective, and there's something bigger than us here.
Oh, that was such poetry. I feel like you sharing that just makes my heart sing so much. And I'm very aligned with you in the way that that's how I experience the world. And yeah, so grateful to have gone on the journey to be able to see something like that. Because when you do experience the world in that way, rather than this illusion of separation of me and you and them and us or whatever, you just get to experience life as a mirror full of lessons, full of teachings, full of gold versus full of triggers and upsets and disappointments. And yeah, I think what you just shared, I really hope that this lands deeply with everybody listening because when you get that, that is really going to change your life in such a powerful way. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I mean, I know my audience is just going to be absolutely obsessed with you. I want to stay and play in your world. So, can you share with us a little bit about what proximity looks like in your world and where people can find you?
Yeah. Instagram's going to be the best place to find me. Yeah. And Nicola Navon or on my website. And yeah, I do one-on-one work with individuals and with couples. And I have some online courses too that have just come out. So shoot me a DM. Let me know how this episode landed. Do you have any comments, any questions? I always love to riff in the DMs. And thank you for tuning in and bringing your energy and frequency to this beautiful space. And thank you, Katie, for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a full body yes for me, and I'm so honored to have you here. Thank you so much. Okay, I am just obsessed with this conversation. I loved speaking with Nicola and all the wonderful things that she was sharing. And if you have been nodding along, being like, yes, 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 and you are loving the examples of how these things show up in leadership, in relationship, in life, and you're thinking, yeah, I think I would like some coaching for me as a whole woman, like not just how this shows up in one space, but how this shows up everywhere, then Aligned Ascension is your next move. This is my 6-month recalibration mastermind for high level women who are done scaling from strategy and are ready to lead from their identity, artistry, and embodiment. And this isn't just where your business grows, this is where you grow. It's where your capacity expands, your message sharpens, your clients elevate, and your presence becomes undeniable. So if you're ready to feel as amazing as things look on paper, then Aligned Ascension was built for you. You can apply via the link in the show notes or DM me the word Ascend on Instagram, and we'll find out if this is the space for you. And if you did love this podcast episode, please don't keep it to yourself. Hit that follow button, rate it, share it with a friend who you love and who needs to hear these messages as well. Share to your stories. It all means the world and helps us to reach more people. So until next time, honeys, I will see you there. Mwah.